Hello everyone and welcome to the ThoughtfulFreeSpace, putting your mind to things you may not normally think about. So Pokemon Sun and Moon are less than a month away, can you believe that? Let's take a moment to just get hype for how soon we'll get our hands on those games. Speaking of hype, did you guys play the demo? What did you think about it? Leave it in the comments below. Now getting away from the hype, we need to talk about what Pokemon is doing with these games. The normal tried and true system is changing before our eyes, with the replacement of gyms, the mass amount of information we've been receiving compared to previous games, and the hints of these games being very story related and exploration focused. Instead of world altering events or mass genocide, the surrounding theme of these games seems to be alchemy. With the release of Type Null's evolution Silvally, I figured it was about time to make a video about this. So let's get into it. Before starting, we first need to explain what alchemy is. At its basic roots, it is a proto-science, or pretty much science before it was SCIENCE! It was a combination of many different fields, and still hadn't come into its full potential like today. You had a mix of hard sciences like chemistry and physics, as well as other different fields such as philosophy and art. It also had strong ties with religion and magic, and the combination of these factors led alchemy in a different direction, where the goal was to create the magnum opus, often known as the elixir of life, or the philosopher's stone, in order to use the power of transforming matter to obtain gold. That was a mouthful, but what does that have to do with Pokemon? Well, there's been a lot of information and theories showing how Pokemon like the starters and Rockruff have ties to alchemical symbols based on their elements, as well as the fact that the mascot legendaries, Solgaleo and Lunala, also have very strong ties to alchemy. Solgaleo being the green lion eating the sun, while Lunala seems to have ties to Aqua Malefica, a dew coming from the moon with the power to remove souls. Both of these Pokemon also have ties to the 4 stages of alchemy. Albedo, which is the widening and the second stage in alchemy in order to remove impurities from the soul so the body can receive it, fits well for Lunala. And Citrinitis, or the yellowing portion, the dawning of the solar light due to the lunar light no longer being needed, is representative of Solgaleo. Now that we know the examples are there and getting into the meat of the matter, let's examine Type Null, one of the new Pokemon introduced in the 7th generation. It's a normal type and is classified as the synthetic Pokemon. Based on the design and information given, we already see origins from both biology as well as alchemy. First up are the biological origins, which come in the form of Type Null being chimera. In genetics, a chimera is simply a single organism composed of cells from different zygotes. A zygote is a eukaryotic cell, which is from 2 gametes, aka an egg and a sperm. In this case, Type Null is an organism composed of zygotes from a fish as seen by the tail, a feline as seen by the body, and an insect in the forelimbs. This is topped by a mask used to hold in its latent power. More on that later. For the origins in alchemy, in fantasy, chimeras are often amalgamations of different creatures, the most famous being from Full Metal Alchemist. Not only that, but being the synthetic Pokemon, it was made to rival mythological Pokemon, which is most likely Arceus if you compare the golden ring with a mask of Type Null. Finally, we have the name, Null, which also means zero or empty. In numerology, it is spiritual in nature, thought to represent both men and women combined, similar to a zygote. It is both empty and full, where the inside is thought to be the universe, which is comprised of all other elements: fire, water, earth, air, and aether. This becomes even more apparent with its evolution, Silvally. This is technically more of a transformation, as Type Null breaks its helmet in order to release its true powers. It is now clearly a failed attempt at creating a god, in this case the god of Pokemon, Arceus. Remember that this is the goal of alchemists, creation of the elixir of life or the philosopher's stone, where you are able to obtain the power of God. This is apparent in its ability, the RKS system, which allows it to change types depending on the item used, just like Arceus. When this transformation occurs, Silvally's somatic cells are able to literally transform in order to do this. Not only that, but its new attack, multi-attack, which also changes type based on the item, is similar to Judgment. The ties to alchemy continue with the name Silvally, or in Japanese, Shiruvadi. These names are a combination of silver and body. Silver is a white lustrous metal, very similar to Silvally's mane, and is also one of the 7 planetary elements, represented by the moon. This is due to being one of the noble metals in the periodic table. The name Silvally is also close to the name Salvati, where in numerology the name is related to the number 3. The number 3 is the symbolization of humankind, the true coming together of a man and woman in order to produce a third. This trinity is supposed to also represent completeness, the birth of something new. The representing planet for the number 3 is Mercury, which is not only another noble metal in the 7 planetary elements, but also represents the day-to-day expressions and relationships, similar to how type Null will only evolve after it trusts its trainer fully in protecting them with its own life. This fits as the element Mercury is also known as Quicksilver, due to being similar to water and named after the Roman god Mercury for its speed and ability, something that was inhibited before it fully transformed. So what does all this mean? Well, it's obviously a blatant attempt to create God, as all the signs are there. An attempt to be close to omnipotence with the RKS system, being able to transform into any elemental typing in order to counter or nullify the opposing opponent. We also need to remember the goal of the Philosopher's Stone, which is similar to the power of God, include a universal solvent, the ultimate panacea, and turning metals into silver or gold. While silver is one of the rare and noble metals, it has always been lesser to gold. Gold is the purest noble metal, rare and non-reactive with multiple properties. This is even denoted with the planetary elements. Silver, or the moon, is the lesser luminary, while the sun, or gold, is the greater luminary. Was there a purpose besides trying to create God, though? What would be the reason? It is said that this Pokemon was created in order to pose a threat, those talked about in mythology. One possibility is Arceus, the Pokemon god, but another possibility are the Ultra Beasts. These are creatures said to be a threat to both Pokemon and humans. The Aether Foundation is the only one with the amount of money, resources, and technology that would be able to create such a thing. They are also the ones that strive to protect Pokemon, while also researching the Ultra Beast threat. In order to finish this episode off, I will leave you with some questions. What does Gladion have to do with this? He is the one that has obtained type Null, and it has trusted him enough to evolve into Silvally, as we have seen in the trailers. Does this mean that he may have good in him? If that's the case, then why is he working for Team Skull? There's also the fact that type Null was created, similar to some Pokemon before it. Does this mean that there are multiple chimeric creatures out there? Finally, what about the Aether Foundation? What is their true purpose? Are they using type Null for malicious purposes in order to control God, or as a chimeric warrior used to prevent a threat? Well, my friends, unfortunately, we won't know until we have the games in our hands. And that is the biology and alchemical origins of both type Null and Silvally. Hopefully you all enjoyed this episode. I definitely have to go back to work to keep up with my promise of releasing the videos for the week of fear. As for this episode, if you liked it, show your love with a thumb and subscribe for more. Thank you very much, and stay awesome.